All right. I got a good sign here for you guys. Literally a good sign that the worst of the pandemic, at least in the Northeast, at least in Massachusetts, is maybe behind us because, they're still obviously rioting and looting in other places, in Portland, in Chicago, in Seattle, but in Boston overnight, somebody climbed up on the Citgo sign, the famous Citgo sign, and hung a banner in protest. Now, when I tell you that, you're thinking it says Black Lives Matter, correct? Or Justice Now, or I Can't Breathe.
Yeah, like
Something,
a topical message right now.
something
Yeah.
in keeping with the current climate. But I laughed out loud when I saw the sign because it doesn't. It goes back to the previous crisis that was going to kill us all. It says climate justice now. Now, I mean, it's silly. I guess you do that when it's hot out. You remember you used to, when it was hot out, it was global warming. You never mentioned it until you had a heat wave. But somebody, and I think they got arrested too. They got caught, which is amazing. I didn't think anyone got arrested anymore, at least not for long. Now in Portland now, they're arresting the same people over and over and over again. They don't have to post bail. They don't have to detain them at all. They just take their picture and take their fingerprints and let them go back to looting and rioting and trying to blind cops. But in Boston, obviously, things are much better off because we're back to climate justice.
I don't know. So according to the rules of right now, is that vandalism or not?
It's a good question. I mean, it certainly doesn't do much damage. They just take the stupid sign down. They didn't paint the Citgo sign. They just hung a banner.
Yeah, but it is obscuring the branding of Hugo Chavez's legacy. And so that should be something, according to Ayanna Presley and AOC, that should be a bad thing.
Right. I mean, do you know what that means? I know I'm not the brightest guy, but what is climate justice? I know what climate change is supposed to be, but what is climate justice? Any guesses?
Well, I assume that means that you're doing something bad by using an internal combustion engine.
Right. You know what? This is another problem for Joe Biden. Joe Biden, and we've seen it lately. I mean, I know he proved that he is completely lucid and healthy and strong because he rode a bike. I heard that on CNN. He rode a bike. I think it was 100 feet. They had him on video riding a bike, 100 feet, and nobody thought he could do it. That's our new test for the White House. Can you ride used to be, can you walk and chew gum? Can you ride a bike with a mask on? That is your test to see if you qualify for the White House. And God knows that was a big, big step in the Biden campaign. But what happens when we get past the current crisis, the Black Lives Matter crisis, or the urban rioting violence crisis, the defund the police crisis? What if we go back to climate change, go back to the climate justice, and somebody, I don't know who it will be, I guess it would have to be someone from Fox or the New York Post, says, Joe, do you still want to get rid of cars by 2015? You still want to get rid of airplanes? Because that's his stance on this. He is a radical Green New Dealer. We just no one gets to ask him, or no one asks him about it anymore. No one puts him on the spot. But that could be an issue, couldn't it be, in the next 3 months?
Yeah, well, I mean, you ask him about that, there's a good chance he'll call you a crackhead, depending on the context of the thing. By the way, bravo to the climate justice people for, putting that sign up right when Fenway is just packed with fans to see it for the 4 hours.
Yeah, I know the Boston Globe Union, the Boston Globe reporters generated more buzz than a sign on the Citgo sign.
Well, they were there. They were there to picket. So the Globe reporters decided, while we're here, why don't we climb the sign and put up our protest sign, climb the Citgo sign. We should get to that because we talked about it a little bit. The Turtle Boy, I don't know, was not up on all the news like he usually was. Didn't even know there was a protest, a picket line at Fenway when all the Globies, these dinosaurs who think that, the Globe is this necessary institution in New England, are saying, now more than ever, we need the Boston Globe. No, we don't, but we'll get to that because it was Iran versus Iraq. It was the Pazudis versus their the proletariat, and I don't know who to root for. Maybe you can convince me one way or the other. That there's a good guy in that fight. I don't see it, but you're right. You know what they probably planned, if this was a long-term plan, was to unfurl that banner at a game. You know, they did that last year. They feel very comfortable. The Fenway Park, God knows, the owner and the people who run the team are radical left-wingers, and they're simpatico. So maybe they were planning on whipping out that banner at a game, and there's no real games. I mean, I guess they're
yeah. Maybe they already put the deposit down on the banner unfurling, and so they just had this was the date. By the way, you make a good point, because speaking of the Globe, remember it was either last year or the year before, somebody at Fenway unfurled a Trump banner.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Home plate, but none of the headlines read that the banner was unfurled. They just read that it was quickly removed. Trump banner quickly removed. It was never presented or unfurled or hung there. It was just simply quickly removed.
Right. Yeah. I guess there's not going to be any fans this year. Is the season still going on? I haven't checked. Is baseball still going?
It's certainly still going on. I haven't watched a game, but it's happening. I'll tell you that.
At this point, I don't think I even know anybody who's watching, let alone, I mean, the idea of sitting and watching the game with no fans. And
I actually give these, I'm just on their website right now. I give these guys credit because they don't look like they got much going on their website. Extinction Rebellion is an international mobilization for nonviolent disobedience against government's criminal inaction on climate change and the wider emergency. But they have nothing on their website. So I'm surprised they got something like that done, to be honest with you.
I got to give Black Lives Matter credit, and Antifa, because, at least we didn't have to hear anything about climate change for the last 4 months, right? We didn't. We did at one point. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was a couple months, maybe a month into the lockdown, and it was a story about how the lockdown was good for the environment because there's not as much smog in the air, there's not as much traffic on the road. So destroying the U.S. economy and putting 40 million people out of work was a good thing. And I remember somebody tweeting about that. It could have been like AOC or Ed Markey. What's the difference? I mean, I guess Ed Markey dreams of being AOC. That's like his hero. AOC, a 30-year-old half-wit, is our senator's idol. But I don't know. After that sign was hung, I guess people are going to suddenly take action. We're going to get climate justice, do you think?
Well, that's not the religion of the moment, like you just talked about. And where's the performance art that's accompanied by that, with that? Like if you're in Wellesley and you're an upper class white person, what do you do? That's boring. With the Black Lives Matter thing that they're all checked into, like you did with your Livestrong bracelet 10 years ago. With the Black Lives Matter thing, you can take a knee and do the Black Power thing, and you're on Facebook and Instagram. You feel good for the rest of the year, but I don't know how you're supposed to enact. What's the interpretive dance for the new resurgent climate movement? And also, the resurgent climate movement is tough to individually put on Donald Trump, because it's been a collaborative effort around the globe, with India and China being the big offenders. And also, we're at odds now, too, because of the pandemic. Plastic bags have been allowed again, and straws have been allowed again. So it's interesting. You talk about the Globies and the Iran-Iraq thing, Jerry. That might be another cultural civil war here, where the baggers are going against the non-baggers, and both of them are very virtuous people. One wants to save the planet, and the other people are turning the revolution to the forefront for all mankind, because they're both excellent people. So
yes, they are. They're better than you or me, right?
Oh Jesus, yes. We'll see what happens. I guess. Well, here's the thing. So, do you have a bad guy in the climate thing? So, in the George Floyd thing, we know that all police are bad. So, Boston Globe reporters go out and look for symbols of police and go after sports players who happen to wear a hat that says Boston Police, etc. And they're all empowered to do that in these newsrooms. For climate, who do you exactly go after? Because you can't go after Citgo. Citgo is a good Venezuelan communist organization.
You go after car makers, auto, Boeing. You go after the people who, make this country go.
But Jerry, you saw Michigan Avenue in Chicago. You saw the Black Lives Matter rioters destroying a Tesla shop.
That's true. That was confusing time for the woke mob, a confusing time. And by the way, if you break into and loot a Tesla dealer, do you get an actual Tesla? Because if you go into a Foot Locker, you get shoes or sneakers, correct? You go into Best Buy, you get headphones. What do you get if you break into a Tesla dealer?
I applaud that group for going for the premium package of the looting.
And you know what? The next door was probably like a Ford or Chevy place, but they said, no. We are woke. We only want electric. We want climate justice. So we're going to steal an electric car.
They probably have expensive merch, right? Like their T-shirts are probably like $45 and stuff like that.
They probably have that display where there's hats and like really nice keychains and really nice golf shirts and sweaters. So they probably got that. And you'll
so are
see
those those at-home electric charging stations? Are you able to carry anything of those products? Because those are probably pretty expensive too.
I don't know. It's kind of a cult. I have a friend with a Tesla. He's a doctor, a surgeon, and he got all in where he painted his garage with the big Tesla symbol, and he's got the charging station, and he's got the hats and the T-shirts, and he lives for his Tesla. That and saving people's lives with surgery, emergency, cutting edge surgery. But Teslas, those people, they're all in. When they get a Tesla, they're all in. But now you're going to see some, Black Lives Matter rioters walking around with really nice Tesla swag, which will probably help the cops. Although I don't know, did they get rid of the cops in Chicago yet? That's next step, right? Because who needs cops?
That guy quit yesterday, right where he was. It's incredible. It's funny. It's like William Gross and the Commissioner Brown in Chicago telling people, Jesus, this time when we arrest people, keep them in jail. We're arresting the same people again and again and again, and they're throwing bricks at us, and they're hurting our people. Keep them in jail. Now the woman, Lightfoot in Chicago, the mayor, she seemingly has had enough too, and she is
scary. She looks like a space alien to me, but she is coming around. She's fighting with the DA who's a Soros plant, just like we have in Boston and Philly, and who just let people out, and no bail, no serious charges. You're right; it's a revolving door. They are part of the conspiracy. This is one big conspiracy to destroy the inner cities and create chaos, at least till November 3rd. But you're right. Yesterday, she kind of turned a corner. But overnight, I'm not sure if this is even on. I just read it on Twitter. Was the Seattle police chief has announced she's quitting because they cut a couple hundred. I don't know the number. They cut the budget. And they cut her pay, and she's going through this summer of hell. And here's what you got to keep in mind: is she's making $285,000, and I swear to God, it's not enough for that job, being the police chief in Seattle. And she's quitting, Carmen Best. And you think about it, it's sort of in protest. It looks like a protest, but she's going to have a pension of probably $200,000. It'll be an insane big pension. She'll go to work for some private security firm. She'll be fine. It's not like you just walk off the job and don't have a fallback position. But imagine being her. She's going through this summer where, they're burning up the city and create the chop zone and everything else. And the city council takes the time to cut her pay and defund the department or cut the funding for the department. She just said, screw this, I'm out of here. That's a bad sign. I mean, for law and order. I mean, I don't even know how good a cop she is or how good a chief she is. But if that's happened in Boston, Willie Gross, the very well-respected police commissioner, says, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of these idiots, these Ayanna Presleys who don't care about cops, who don't care about business owners, small business owners. If he bails, that will really be alarming if people like him start bailing.
I think it'll happen, Jerry. I think a couple of weeks ago, we had 3 Saugus cops stabbed. There's a cop, I think it's in Virginia, who the BLM went after him at his home to try to kill him. We've already in Massachusetts, the crime rate, I think, is
but that was peaceful. That was a peaceful attempted murder. Very peaceful. Very peaceful.
Sawed-off shotgun that they used.
Did you hear this? I try to follow the news and follow the rioting and follow the unrest as much as possible. But Tucker Carlson did this last night, and he did a story about 21 people at one gathering in D.C. over the weekend was shot. 21 people I think he said they were all African American, and said, "Did you hear about this?" And I said, "No, I didn't. I swear to God, it was not a big story. If it was, I missed it. I was following the Chicago, Seattle, Portland. Does that ring a bell with you over the weekend that 21 people in one, I guess, drive-by or one attack were all shot? I don't even know the number who died, but 21 people. And he said, it's not even news. It's not even a big deal. 21 people.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was astounded. And you know where the NBC studios are in DC are where the Fox studios are, right down from the Capitol. And undoubtedly, these traffic was rerouted. You know, reporters had to go elsewhere, and they had to go around these chalk body outlines at some point in the middle of this city. And yes, that's astounding. I mean, just considering, you've been talking about, Jerry, how clever the sloganeering is of Black Lives Matter. It's both clever and not clever, because if people now overlay Black Lives Matter with the fact that black men are being just gunned down, and kids too, just gunned down left and right here, then you gotta be an inhumane, lizard-brained, cold-hearted person to not see that there's a problem here with the slaughter of an entire generation that's been happening the last 30 or so years, and pretending it's not happening. And at the same time, CNN pretending to be the moral arbiter of all this stuff, and instead spending their time telling you, what a racist you are, and how the president is using executive orders, which is something he invented, by the way. If you didn't know, Jerry.
That's right. I never heard of him. I mean, God knows Obama would never do that, but it is amazing. And Tucker said, dead bodies, quote, I wrote this down, dead bodies don't count unless they are politically useful. And I guess the 21 people, I'm looking at the Wire story right now. I'm looking it up. A teenager was killed and 20 others, including an off-duty police officer, were shot in a large gathering in Southwest Washington, D.C. early Sunday morning. Now, that should be a pretty big deal. A 17-year-old Christopher Brown was murdered. Multiple shooters carried out the attack. So they got out of a car, probably like they did in that shooting in Chicago a few weeks back, jumped out and just opened fire on a group and shot 21 people, including an off-duty cop. 2 17-year-olds were shot. The rest were adults. They were all rushed to the hospital, except this poor Chris Brown, who's dead. But think of that. The permit, the cop said no permit was issued for the gathering, even though it was over 50 people, and that's currently prohibited in D.C. That's the third paragraph of the story, that the fact that the gathering was against the rules, not, and then we get back to the mayor saying, this is incredible. Is this the police chief said it was an isolated incident. Yes, police chief Peter Newsom said it was an isolated incident.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if you saw this in a movie, you'd say that's a little overdone. Shooters get out and shoot at a crowd of 50 people, hitting 21 of them, and then jumping back in the car and driving away. That should have been a pretty big story. It was not. Tucker is right. That went under the radar. Now, if that were, one cop and one black victim, it'd be the biggest story in the world. But it's multiple shooters and 21 victims.
Right. And that's why, 7 years ago, whatever, when what should have been called Rapeupy Wall Street was happening, and all the sexual assaults were happening all around the country, the media spent no time on it. And that was a rape festival, Occupy Wall Street, around the country. And it was crime-ridden. Nobody heard anything about it. But also, back to Chicago again, Jerry. Remember, we had this funeral a month and a half ago where some machine guns just wasted people in the middle of Chicago. Then we had a rapper was in a gunfight with other people and the police a couple of weeks ago. And then this thing, the looting over. But all this stuff is happening in Chicago now. This is happening in the Loop. This is happening where Ferris Bueller is saying twist and shout. This is happening where law and order was the norm just a little bit ago. So
the stores, I wrote down some of the stores. Omega Watch Store,
right?
Tesla dealer, the mall. They looted a mall, which is a high-end shopping mall. And the best video I saw was the woman, girl, I don't know, female. She was all masked up with a hood, because she didn't want to spread the virus. She was, it's hard to see her face. She videotapes herself trying to find the tool to cut the security tags off all this stuff they were stealing. And she's going through the drawers looking for the thing. And I'm like, first of all, I mean, you're not supposed to do that when you riot and you loot. You just grab stuff and run. Secondly, you videotape it and post it somewhere. I don't know where, but you post it somewhere for all the world to see. That's how brazen they are. And I just keep thinking of the cops. I know you're not supposed to do that because cops are terrible people. They're awful, racist people. Can you imagine being a cop in any of these places, D.C., Chicago, Seattle, and you pick up the paper, you log on, you're reading the news, and it's all about taking funding away, cutting your pay, taking away your limited immunity, your qualified immunity. The war on cops continues amid the looting and rioting and unrest. It just must be so bizarre to have to put on the uniform. And here's what's going to happen any day. I'm predicting a cop's going to get shot, maybe killed, and the story behind the story is going to be he was hesitant, to pull the gun out, to pull the trigger. He was thinking of George Floyd and thinking of the current state of the country, and a cop is going to get killed because of this current push to blame them for everything.
Yeah, we already know that cops are hesitant to pull guns, especially when they're dealing with young black men more than they are with white men. And we saw this in Massachusetts. Who was the cop? It was in near the South Shore. Who was
Michael Chestnut?
Yeah, and somebody had a brick, and he was his hands were off, and he didn't want to engage the guy with a gun immediately, and so he died. But also in Chicago, Jerry, they pulled the bridges up. I
know, that's pretty wild.
So the river is a moat now, so they can keep the invasion. The bridges are up now. The Chicago Police Commissioner talked about caravans. There are now convoys of these looters.
We come across a post on social media that a caravan of cars being prompted to go to our downtown to loot. Within 15 minutes, we respond, and almost immediately the caravan is in our downtown area.
The caravan's already arrived.
Caravan of cars. And they got video. Everybody's got video. You see them just coming out of Foot Locker, coming out of the mall with clothes and shoes and whatever.
U-Hauls, Jerry. Literally, they brought U-Hauls. The mayor talked about it. I can't believe it. We had people here coming with U-Hauls. It's such an organized robbery convention that there's a run on U-Hauls to carry the stuff away.
I don't know. I guess it's an adrenaline rush. It's like you feel like they're not going to arrest you, and if they arrest you, they're not going to detain you. So it's worth the risk. Give it a shot. Why not? And we talked about this before we started recording about Donald Trump and how this, in a weird way, it helps. In a weird way, I mean, all he does is tweet law and order and talk about Joe Biden's America, but if you reach the end of your rope and it's sick of Black Lives Matter and Antifa and even climate justice people, if you're tired of the civil unrest, are you going to vote for Biden? I mean, are you going to vote for the guy? As a number of people have pointed out, when you watch video of Antifa throwing bricks at cops, those are Biden voters. Those aren't Trump. Those are definitely not Trumpkins. I mean, maybe those motorcyclists in South Dakota. Maybe they're Trump guys, probably. And you see all these boat parades, these Trump boat parades. But the Antifa thugs, the BLM activists, they're not Trump guys. So doesn't it work? I don't know if it's direct. Maybe it's subtle. But isn't it in a way a campaign ad when you see video of looting and rioting and fires and people trying to blind cops with lasers? Isn't that help Trump?
Of course it does. Of course it does. And the best tell of all, and I suggest people do this, is go to CNN on the weekends. The CNN weekend crew is not on top of it. They have not gotten the memo. They're the stringers, kind of like in radio, Jerry. They're not the best producers. They're the half-assed ones. So the CNN weekend crew in CNN Politics Sunday said, has a headline, shy Trump voters are likely a myth, but polls aren't perfect. A new Monmouth University poll from Iowa finds Donald Trump at 48% to Joe Biden at 45%. And it goes on to talk about how in other places Trump is narrowing the gap. And of course it's happening. Of course it's happening because Trump now, first of all, Biden is nobody. He's not. He's a guy with a name and a social security number, but he is not a person. There's no soul under there. We don't know.
Whoa. Did you miss the big news over the weekend, Shattuck? Did you miss it? He rode a bike.
Well,
Did you hear?
Corvette.
CNN told me that proves that he is lucid and healthy and strong. He rode a bike. He had no helmet. He had a mask, which is stupid, and no helmet. And I saw it. I saw the video. He went almost 100 feet on a bike and didn't crash. That was a cause for celebration at CNN and MSNBC. Look, Joe Biden rode a bike.
Isn't it funny how much of a rerun of 2016 this is? Like after Hillary face planted on September 11th in 2016, remember she very naturally walked out of her daughter's house, which is where you go when you pass out on the pavement. You go to your daughter's house, and she very naturally walked out of her daughter's townhouse, and this little girl ran to Hillary on the empty sidewalk, which just happened to be empty, and they embraced, and Hillary showed she was full of vim and vigor. There was nothing.
Well, you can't do that with Biden though, because he'll just sniff her hair. That wouldn't be a good look. But it was actually I think it was Rex Chapman, another lefty on Twitter, and he put side by side Trump going down that ramp at the military academy, and then Biden riding a bike, and said, "Who's inept now? Who's lame now?" And I'm like, because he rode a bike 100 feet. Trump had a good day yesterday, which was riveting. It's one of those deals where you're on Twitter and you see what happened, and you go to the TV or put on the video and watch it when an active shooter is outside the White House, and they whisper to the Secret Service whispers to Trump and says, "We got to get going here, Mr. President." Trump's a little confused. He leaves, goes down the hallway and waits it out. We find out later they shot the guy. We find out from him, essentially, that They shot the guy. The guy was
a shooting outside of the White House and seems to be very well under control. I'd like to thank the Secret Service for doing their always quick and very effective work.
He loves that Secret Service. And he should.
But this was an accident. He didn't overdo it. It was an accident that he looked under control and strong, because the reporter asked, are you rattled? Mm-hmm. And Trump says, "I don't know. Do I look rattled?" And he didn't.
The wall, the as you know, the fencing, especially the new fencing that they put up, is very powerful. But it was on the outside of the White House. Okay. And they'll have a full report. Secret Service, in a little while, we'll have a full report.
Are you rattled by this at all, Mr. President?
I don't know. Do I seem rattled? It's unfortunate that this is a world, but the world's always been a dangerous place.
Man,
I am surprised that he has not had more of this. We see the kind of lunatics that are out there that hate him. I mean, hate him more than they ever hated Bush's or whatever, or even Reagan. I mean, they hate him, and these people. And I see the mugshots every day out of Portland. These Antifa people who have gathered there from around the country. Most of them aren't really stable. There's a lot of people with like face tattoos, and a lot of people you can't even tell what gender they are. These are people on the margins, and you're going, they don't really care about, their 401ks. They don't care about, the interest rates on their mortgage. These are people.
Speaking of that, the only person
don't care about life.
The only person rattled in that moment looked like Mnuchin. Like he was trying so hard to get out the door, and they couldn't give less of a shit about whether or not he followed them.
I have a feeling it's not the last time there's going to be some crazy person with a gun in the vicinity of Donald J. Trump. I mean, it's makes sense. I mean, it's a lot of lunatics out there that don't have anything else to live for, and they think Trump. They don't think Trump is wrong. They think he's evil.
Right. Well, you forget. Remember the carbon copy of Kent State that Trump pulled in front of the White House a month ago when he moved the protesters off so they could put the fence back.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Gas people and tear gas people, and the police beat them dead like it was Tiananmen Square.
That's right. Open fire. I remember that.
Right. So that is unfortunately for a lot of these revolutionaries, I think, compromised their ability to do physical harm to the president for now.
But it was a good look that he went and came back, and then he were like, "Did you think twice about coming back?" He said, "No, why? I was going to come back. Why wouldn't I?" He appeared unflappable, and it was a nice break from him, bragging about all the tests that we've done, or bragging about the wall, or bragging about whatever, about the ventilators again. I mean, he is. I don't blame him. It's it gets under his skin when they start saying that he's botched the whole thing, and the reason we have 160,000 dead, it's all his fault. So he gets very defensive, as we know he does about everything, and it gets a little tedious. So this was a nice break, and it made him look good and made him look strong. And you were saying before we started recording that he has turned the corner. The polls are tightening. He's everywhere. He's on with Clay Travis this morning on Outkick on Fox Sports Radio. I assume you listen to some of it, Dave. I assume he's talking about football. Football has to come back. He wants football back. He's made
I want to hear his answer to this. Actually, he's being asked who's going to be Biden's VP. So yeah.
Oh, good.
I assume you're not hearing anything, Jerry?
I am not.
No. Dave, are you?
Oh, you're not hearing it? I'm hearing it crystal clear.
No.
Okay, why don't you tell us what he's saying, Dave? Why don't
okay, I'll do it. Sorry, hold on. Let me mute it. Oh, he's not mentioning a name. He's just kind of crapping all over him for saying that he has to pick a woman and stuff like that. But Travis already got to the college football stuff, and he was talking about the NBA in China. That's going to be a must. I'm going to go back and listen to that whole thing because that's going to be a good interview to hear.
Yeah, and I think it's another one of those dividing lines. It's like the mask fight, the mask argument. I mean, it's kind of tedious. It's kind of, I had enough of the mask argument. Wear the mask in the store. You don't have to wear the mask ride your bike. Okay, it's simple as that. Wear the mask in Target, but when you're, out for a walk on a trail in the woods, you don't need a mask. I was jogging on a trail a couple of days ago, and these people coming towards me, and I swear to God, they both ducked their heads down. There was a woman and a man. They were like in their 30s. Grabbed their shirts, put them over their mouths, and turned like this.
Oh, gee.
Until I went by. And I'm jogging, and I just started laughing at them. Just started laughing like, you fools. Anyway, enough with the mask. The new dividing line is, do we want football or do we not want football? And I see it on Twitter. All the liberals say no, can't have football because everyone's going to die. And all the conservatives say it's, we need football. Football is important. And Clay Travis makes the argument, as well as anyone. He says, right now we have baseball, basketball, hockey, golf. We have all kinds of sports being played. Why not college football? Why must that be sacrificed? These people who play college football, they're younger than the guys playing baseball and basketball and golf. They're younger, they're healthy. And as Nick Saban said, and he got vilified for this, Nick Saban said they're better off with us in a controlled environment around, trainers and doctors and people who are taking all the necessary precautions, better off here. And I agree. I said that in the spring. They shouldn't have closed colleges and sent everyone home. They should have said you can't leave. They should have quarantined them all on campus because they're not vulnerable. The only way it's a problem is if they take the virus home to grandma. Don't we all understand that at this point? Doesn't that all make sense?
Why is it okay for young men, and especially young black men, to go out and protest arm in arm with no precautions, and not to go out and try to prove themselves and market themselves to possibly be, financially flush, if not filthy rich for the rest of their lives?
Right.
Why is one more important than the other? I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
because they'll say football's not necessary, and looting and rioting is. But it's a good point. Joe Burrow, the top pick in the draft, the Bengals QB, who's now got a contract for I don't know what, guaranteed $30 million before he's taking a snap. Yep. He said, if not for his senior year in LSU, that he never would have been drafted, or he would have been a 4th or 5th rounder. It changed everything. He had to play last year. Now you're going to tell Trevor Lawrence, or not Trevor Lawrence because he'll be a top pick no matter what, but the sleeper guy who's going to emerge, become a top pick, make a fortune. You're telling him no. It's not necessary. You can't because why? In fact, I would just say, so what if some players get the virus? They sit out for a week or two and they come back just like they would for the flu. If the coaches are old or fat, then they can take their own precautions. They don't have to coach. They don't have to show up. It's optional to them. Hell, it's optional for everybody. It's a free country. But why can you play all these other sports and not play football? I don't understand. And why can some leagues play and others can't? I think they should all play. I have a son who plays Division III, and he's heartbroken. They're not playing. It's going to be chaos because I firmly believe that like the SEC will play and the Big Ten will not, which will be wild. Ohio State's already offering to play, I believe, or their surrogates are making the case that they could play in the SEC or they could play a limited schedule against SEC teams. Same with Nebraska. There's some schools who say, screw it, we want to play. Just find me an opponent. Find me someone. Someone.
What do you think they're looking at? Do you think it's the fact that like what seems to be working the best is that bubble scenario, right?
Yeah.
And then college first. Well, yeah, because I mean, even look at baseball. Baseball right now is proposing whether or not they should do the playoffs in a bubble. Right?
Did you see the numbers on the hockey thing? It's incredible.
Yeah.
I'll get the exact number. What's the number of tests they've done?
18,000 no positive tests or something like that?
18,000 tests. Positive zero. And that's a controlled environment, young, healthy guys. So there's certainly no argument against playing hockey. Hockey is kind of violent and physical also, right? So give me the argument against playing college football. I see it all day on Twitter, always from some hysterical liberal who's saying that, you're risking the lives of these young men. You are not. You are not. The survival rate for people of that age is 99.97. It is, literally like 1 in a million.
Right.
Are close. That they're going to die from the virus. If their autoimmune system is compromised or if they're obese, they don't have to play.
Right.
But why punish everybody if there's a couple of guys, or a guy or two on each team that's vulnerable? They don't have to play. They can stay home. The rest of them should show up and play. And I think it's same as always. I say it every day. It's all about Donald J. Trump. If football goes off without a hitch or, has no problem, just like school, if everyone shows up and goes to school, if everyone shows up and kicks off and plays football, it gives the appearance that everything's back to normal and the worst is behind us.
Right.
And that is not what you want if you want Joe Biden for president.
You're right. And now they're all in more than ever. And the tragic thing about it, Jerry, is that this year there would be so much more attention given to the small number of games that would be happening that really, I mean, these would just turn lives around. But you're right. And especially with the polls tightening now, there is a half of the country, or certainly the media and Democrats need things to continue going south. And that's why Nancy Pelosi has been moving the goalpost when every time Mnuchin says, I'll give you whatever you want. I'll give you whatever you want. She then slams the door on him again and again to the point where now Democrats are saying, hey, we need some relief money for all this stuff. And she's just saying, no. We let it tank for a couple of more months, which is why Trump is absolutely right. And he's hit his stride here with the executive order stuff and being the only one who seems to give a damn. And if you're the parents of a college football player, you're seeing one guy now. There's one guy through all the hail of all the criticism, through all the op-ed after op-ed calling him a murderer and inept monster, and now he's a Putin guy again. Putin is back in.
Right, yeah.
And I think that this is the shy Trump vote is going to be huge this year.
And I think, and he's been saying kids should be back in school all along. And I think we saw what happens when you have internal polling, because the Democrats decided that wasn't the hill to die on, that everybody wants kids back in school. So just like that, like flipping a switch, you had Cuomo, you had Killer Cuomo, and you had you even had Chuck Schumer saying it's time for kids to be back in school. And you're going, what? That's good for Trump if they go back to school and, nobody dies. God knows if there's one, janitor in, one school system in the U.S. who dies, talk about, the politically useful victims or politically useful dead. That will be one that will be very political. Hell, you'll all know his name. If there's one janitor in Des Moines, Iowa, who dies of the virus because they opened schools, you'll hear all about it. But I think they realized, and I think the turning point was when they had the 5 pediatricians on MSNBC and they asked them, would you send your kid? And they were all liberals. Would you send your kid to school? And to a man, there was a woman. They said, absolutely, without hesitation. Doctors know it. So the Democrats gave up on that. Kids can go back to school. So why can you go back to so all these college kids are going to go back to school at University of Michigan. They're all going to go back. And the few guys who play football, when the classes are over, are going to go what? Sit in their room and smoke weed? I mean, they can't play football? Why? It's just stupid. It's just politically useful issue. They think we can't take a chance with the lives of our young people. Well, you're not. And Trump knows it. The Republicans know it's a good issue that people, and as we talked about yesterday, in the Big Ten, you're talking about Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Talking about really important places. Now, they're not going to play, but at least as of now, I think this is a fluid situation. But right now, we believe the Big Ten is not going to play. That's a mistake, and Trump will continue to point that out, say they should be playing, because that's what people in those states think they should be playing, unless they're not paying attention. They know there's no great risk, so let's go. Let's kick it off.
Right, and somehow Republicans, who are feckless half the time, who have been horrible this year, the last 4 years actually, somehow Republicans now, some of them have gotten their stuff together, like Rand Paul now with proposing legislation that redirects, taxes, property taxes to parents, essentially, giving the money that would be spent and allotted for funding for public schools back to parents instead. That is brilliant. And
right.
Already, I think in my time, I've got a regional high school here. Already, I think there's like 100 parents or so who already are opting to homeschool. And that number is huge. And if you then take those property taxes, give them back to the parents, which is something that I would think that legally would have to be done.
No, you kidding me? You kidding me? Their revenues are down. They're not giving up a nickel. You thinking blue states they're going to give a refund on your property taxes?
They'd want to willingly, but I think that that I would think that they would have to legally. I don't think there's a chance they would win. But you're right, and it's in these pediatricians, the healthcare community now is saying. Even your friend, Dr. Fauci, Jerry, is saying that school is important to children, that especially, elementary school grade kids, if you have a 9-year-old, it is crucial that these kids go back and interact and have, a daily schedule and some kind of stability. And school does that. And
they're just props. Teachers unions do not care about kids. That's quite clear. They're just props. They don't care that kids are, in abusive households. They don't care if the kids are doing drugs or falling into depression. They care about November 3rd. They care about their guy, Joe Biden. And if kids get hurt in the effort, teachers unions don't give a damn. We've gone over that. I mean, at this point, some of them are being honest. In Los Angeles, they're demanding they defund the police before they go back to school, before they go back to work. In a way, I don't blame them. They're getting paid. They're still on vacations. They've been on vacation since March, essentially. The teachers' union is like, screw it. We want our guy in there. We're going to use all the leverage we got. But you know what? I want to go over the VP choices because I know you're into this. You're paying real close attention, and I'm going to tell you the latest thing that someone did in Massachusetts that brought down the full force of the state government on them. They broke the rules. Somebody in Mass broke Charlie Baker's rules, and they're in big trouble. I'll give you that story too. After I tell you about Shea Concrete, you know all about Shea Concrete, but I'm going to tell you again. Shea's a fourth-generation owned and operated family business that's working hard day in, day out to be your trusted precast concrete partner. They're a local company, but they're all over New England. They have 4 state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities. And if you're a contractor, you probably know about this. But let me tell you again, some of the products Shea can deliver to your job site ready for installation. Water and wastewater products, underground stormwater systems, stairs and bulkheads, electrical and communications products. The list goes on and on. The guys at Shea can do it all. If you're an engineer, they can do even more for you. They can help you design your next project. Give them a call for more information or for an estimate, or just log on to sheaconcrete.com. And while you're there, maybe you can apply for a job. They're always hiring. It's a great company. Take a look at sheaconcrete.com. They're looking for CDL drivers. They're looking for people at all their plants. Maybe there's a job that's just right for you. So you know what you could do? Send your resume to jobs@sheaconcrete.com. All right. We're expected any minute now to get the pick. The suspense is killing me. Here's what we know. Unfortunately for our girl, Liz Warren, actually, I take that back. She's a person of color, so she's still in the running. She's, as we all know, a proud Native American. There's a letter with, I think, 100 or maybe more, 150 prominent African American men who signed a letter, said they will only support Joe Biden if he chooses a woman of color. So he's in a box. He can't go off the board here and take someone, he can't, if he thinks there's someone more qualified, a better fit, and they're not an African-American woman, too bad. This is clear that the only way he gets support that he needs is by picking, one of the, and we've seen the short list. It obviously includes Susan Rice, Kamala Harris, Karen Bass. God, would that be fun if he picked her? Somebody who's doing opposition research has absolutely destroyed Karen Bass and just ruined her, so she ain't the pick. There's been a couple of people who have said they got inside info. The guy on Fox, Lawrence Jones, says his sources tell him it is Susan Rice, and she's the Obama pick. And she is probably the one destroying the competition, destroying Karen Bass and muddying up Kamala Harris. But anyway, any minute now he's going to make the pick. Is it the predictable pick of Kamala Harris or Susan Rice, or does he pick somebody else, Tom Shattuck?
No, I think he goes for Susan Rice, and I think, among other things, she's got the goods on both him and Obama.
That's true. Good point.
That's an important thing. If you have the goods on somebody like that, she's a point person, a key person on Obamagate, sending that email to herself saying, "By the way, self,
we did everything by the book."
Yes, this meeting we had to eavesdrop and bug and investigate the incoming administration was totally fair play, and we didn't do anything wrong. But and also, obviously, she's the Benghazi messenger, and they owe her for sending her out there. She's Susan.
Yeah, but that's bad. That's bad because the video is very simple to understand. If she is named today by this evening, you'll have a commercial by the Trump campaign that will include all 5 of her Sunday morning appearances where she lied her ass off. She knew she was lying. That's a bad look. The Benghazi thing is going to leave a mark. I mean, you're probably right. She's still a pick, but I think she's got some baggage, some real baggage.
Clearly, they could add her to the list, but I don't know if you saw the speakers for the DNC was just announced, and she's not on the list. Is that strange if she were going to be I mean, clearly they can add her. But is that strange?
Liz Warren's on the list, huh?
She is.
And
yes.
and John Kasich. That's important. I'm sure he's going to win a lot of people over. But I thought, Kamala Harris. Obviously, she's got baggage. She attacked him in the debates, and that'll be used against her. But she's a fighter. She's feisty. That's what he needs. Obviously, he is docile and feeble. That's why I thought Warren, because she's a fighter and she fights dirty and she's vicious, and that's what he could use. Kamala Harris has a little bit of that too.
Right, but she got TKO'd by Tulsi Gabbard, and I think they see a glass jaw like that, and they say, we can't have this person, because she's going to be the point person and the attack dog, and she's going to be the person who's sentient on the ticket. then she's got to be able to defend herself. And Kamala is all offense, has no defense whatsoever. She gets manhandled in any room she's in. She gets beat up, whether or not it's with Charlemagne the God or if it's in a debate. Kamala has no defense. She's also got.
Why do you say that? She tore up Biden in the debates at least once when they talked about busing.
Everybody stabbed a person in the debates. There's no doubt about that. And Liz Warren actually never herself was in the receiving end of any successful blows. But Kamala was. She was tanked by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's a core criminal justice issue. The fact that Kamala Harris joked about smoking weed as a kid and listening to Bob Marley, but meanwhile imprisoned, scores of young black men for doing the same thing professionally, that's going to be a problem.
Plus, she's not like one of these people that earned her way to the top. She slept her way to the top. We know Willie Brown was Willie Brown helped her, shall we say, helped her get to where she is. Willie Brown is now saying if he offers it to her, she should turn it down because he thinks she'd be better suited to be attorney general, which is scary, but.
Well, that should be the compromise.
Think of the cabinet. I mean, this morning I heard the rumor is Warren's not VP. She's going to be Treasury Secretary. Elizabeth Warren, hell, Bernie, AOC, they all got to have a seat at the table. I don't think either of them. I certainly don't think AOC wants to be in the cabinet because she wants to stay in the Congress forever, and she will. But can you imagine that he's going to be surrounded by Ilhan Omar, AOC, Bernie Sanders? That is another thing that the Trump campaign is just going to hammer home, that the guy is going to be surrounded by just the most radical, America-hating, anti-Semitic nuts. It's going to be.
That's the thing, Jerry, is that all the three people you just mentioned, they're activists. They haven't done anything in the private sector. None of them have held a job, done a payroll or anything. They're simply activists. Bernie Sanders is not employable on a resume. If he was to, ask for a job at Shea Concrete, they would look and say, "What have you done? What have you ever done for any period of time that tells us that you're somebody who can show up on time and to execute this job?" There's nothing. And
well, he was in a commune in the 70s, and he got kicked out because he was too lazy.
Right. And he wrote an interesting essay on rape.
Right. How women all fantasize about being raped. That's true. That's it's a good point. But he's important. He'll be speaking at the convention, and Biden can't alienate him, which is amazing. He needs all those Bernie bros to show up, all those morons who think socialism has never really been tried. Did you see AOC's tweet over the weekend? I responded to it, and somebody pointed out, "Are you sure that isn't a parody account?" And I immediately got back on. Sometimes you fall for those parody accounts. With AOC, you can never tell because she's so dumb and just so silly sometimes. Her tweet was, "Billionaires need working people. Working people don't need billionaires." That's her whole tweet. My response was like everyone else. I'm pretty sure that the 840,000 employees of Amazon, I think they need Jeff Bezos. Just me, but I think they need Jeff Bezos.
Those employees are in her district, Jerry, thanks to her. So
I looked that up too. There's different estimates, but the estimates, it's somewhere between 25,000 and 40,000 people who were going to work at that Amazon plant that was going to be in her district. That she stopped it. The average salary, did you read this? At this plant, at this facility, was going to be $150,000. The average salary for this place, this Amazon facility, was going to be $150,000. And not only did she stop it, she bragged about it. She was proud of it that she stopped them. And I don't know if you've ever seen like a video tour of her district. It looks like something out of friggin' Fallujah. It looks like something that's been looted and bombed. And parts of it are just trash and homeless.
That's it. And it's the same in Boston. We're the most depressed, marginalized, poorest community. The community leaders and politicians are patting themselves on the back for keeping Walmart out. Like, congratulations, you kept Walmart out. Now there's nothing in. And she was doing that. She still takes a victory lap about Amazon. It's amazing.
I know. They brag about keeping Walmart out. So all the people, the working class people, the poor people, don't have a cheap place to shop. They either have to travel somewhere or pay higher prices. And they're proud of that. It's like keeping Chick-fil-A out.
Right.
the previous mayor in Boston was so proud of himself. He kept Chick-fil-A out, a great fast food place that people like, even poor people, working class people like it. But the CEO was a Christian, so we can't allow them to put down roots in the city. It's just so bizarre sometimes. But so I would like to go off the board. I don't know who's going to be. I mean, God knows they're going to ask. Aren't they going to ask Michelle Obama? Has she already been asked?
She doesn't want it. She doesn't want to live that life.
So you think she's been asked? I mean, right. I mean, think of it. They lived a life of luxury. They got a $15 million mansion in Martha's Vineyard on the water where they could sit and plan how to fight climate change. Someone is a complete. Someone's a complete phony. And Bill Gates did the same thing. He fights climate change and buys a house. He bought I think like a $40 million house in California on the water. So they're full of shit when they do that. But
but I think this is the moment that they announce, and if he announces Susan Rice, I think Trump pulls within of 2 points of Biden nationally, and in the swing states, I think that Trump will leapfrog over Biden, because Susan Rice is, although she's the most intellectual of the pack, she is poison. She's vile in what she did with the Benghazi stuff. And it's
on video, and it's simple to understand, and everyone knows she was lying. And when you see someone lying that easily, you say, what else is she lying about? You're right. She's smart. Unlike, AOC and some of the others, she's smart, and she's savvy.
In that,
by the way, did you see her son? What her son is? He's the chairman of Students for Trump at Stanford.
He's an impressive kid, actually. I like him. But they're normal people who the Benghazi thing is, I graduated with Kate Quigley, who's the sister of Glenn Doherty, and she became a Trump supporter, and they were not. They're Winchester. They're not. You're not a Republican in Winchester generally, but it was just simply the disrespect that they were shown from that administration when he took the mom's hand in her hand and looked at her and said, "We're going to get the person that made the video. We promise." And the family was so heartbroken by what just happened to their brother that they said, okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And that was the last they heard. They went away. It was the whole thing. I mean, the Obama administration let those guys die up there. And if you hear the actual story of what Glenn Doherty did, he didn't have to be up there. He could have left even before all this stuff, but he stuck it out with the guys on the roof. And they treated that family like trash, and all of those families. And that permeates. In union households in Philadelphia, in Ohio, in middle America, that dishonor, that permeates, and Susan Rice owns that stuff. Not only that,
I agree, and you're right. What Hillary did was worse, because she sat with the families, held their hands, and said, "We're going to get that video maker, whatever." She knew it was a lie. She lied, looked them in the eye, and lied. But this isn't Hillary. This is Susan Rice, who went on TV, went on all 5 Sunday morning show, told the same lie over and over again. If you haven't seen it yet, folks, get ready, because if she's the choice, you are going to see it in your sleep. It's going to be constant online, on TV, if Facebook will allow it and Twitter will allow it. Those campaign ads will be nonstop about Susan Rice, and especially to distract from the big news that Biden can ride a bike. You need to come up with something, because that was quite the boost for the campaign, that Biden could ride a bike. Did we get anything else from Donald J. Trump with Clay Travis?
No, I gotta listen through to it and see more. But no, just your basic. The only thing I did want to also hear is his stance on the NFL coming back, because I am seeing some tweets saying he doesn't like the kneeling, and if they're gonna kneel, he doesn't want to see it back, which seems strange to me that he would say that.
Well, you know what? Yeah. Most of them. I've said this before. Everyone's going to kneel once, like even Breed, they're going to kneel once. Breeze has said he's going to do it, but not during the anthem. Goodell is going to take a knee with some other guy. I don't know who he'll be with, but do it once and then that'll be it. It won't be like the NBA. Trump's already said he's done with the NBA, and LeBron said, who needs you? Good riddance. I don't know if you guys have seen the ratings, but the other night, Friday night, I believe, Tucker Carlson had more viewers than all the NBA games combined. There's some good ones. I mean, the Lakers, but Carlson and Hannity are getting 4 million a night. The Lakers, the NBA is like less than 1 million. Their ratings stink. Baseball ratings.
It just
stink.
feels so strange. It feels so strange to watch. It feels like you're watching an NBA D-League game. Like it's just very weird to look at. To be honest.
I agree. And so is baseball, and so is hockey.
Yeah.
Very weird. Football will be different. Football will feel normal, which is why it's going to be such a controversial thing. It'll be another campaign issue where all the liberals will say, "Oh no, people are going to die. You're going to kill Andy Reid." Whereas, Republicans and Trump supporters are all going to say, let's play. And they're right. We have to play.
All this, Jerry, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen through the media like CNN. It's going to happen through shows like your show, like Clay Travis, Rogan, etc. And people are going to, there will be a different kind of reckoning, and people will say, wait a second, the WNBA women, all protested their owner and wore T-shirts for what? I mean, what the hell is going on here? At some point, people are going to have to contend with the fact that the NBA is a wholly owned Chinese product at this point, and that they're all making money from the Uyghurs, enslaved, and all this other stuff. And it's gonna matter. I'm surprised to hear that Drew Brees actually managed to pull himself off the ground. It sounds like.
Yeah. That was kind of embarrassing. But most people are sick of, the LeBron, Greg Popovich, Steve Kerr, sick of them hating on their own country. Stan Van Gundy, that punk, talking about how we have no right to criticize China because of slavery and because of, the slaughter of the Native Americans, things that happened 400 years ago. Because of that, we can't criticize China, who are literally putting Muslims in cattle cars and taking them to concentration camps where they work as slave labor for Nike. No, can't criticize that because, Columbus slaughtered Indians.
They got rid of his statue. So that's true. That's true. If Asians, etc. So now Joe Biden, the rule is he has to pick an African-American woman to be vice president. That's the rule. He's got to.
That's the rule. If he doesn't, then there's hundreds of important black men who will not support him.
If you're the most qualified, single, and successful success story Latin woman, you're SOL? There's no Latin women allowed to be
That's a good question. I mean, who would that be? Is there one that
I don't know. Maybe Ana Navarro wants to be VP.
What about Tulsi? She's whatever she is. What's Tulsi? Hindu?
Different thing. She's a Polynesian But you're right. But so
she's hot.
So if you're one of the
matter.
Asian woman, you can't be. So Asian women need not apply. Latin X women, whatever, need not apply.
How about Hazy Maron? What's her name? Maisie Hirono.
No. Yes, not apply. No, you're the wrong race this year. We've decided that these races can't be VP. To me, that doesn't sound very inclusive. It almost sounds like,
right.
It almost
sounds very, very 2020. We're going back in time. Martin Luther King would be embarrassed. We are judging people solely on the color of their skin. Before we go, I want to get your take on this because I was on Newsmax TV again yesterday. I must be they call me all the time now.
Yeah,
and that is
before you get on, Jerry.
I know, I forgot, but it's always a scramble trying to get the damn Skype or the Zoom, or they get like people all over the country trying to put us in the little windows. Anyway, they wanted me on to talk about Charlie Baker, who is, the ultimate rhino. He is a Republican in name only. He is as bad as Killer Cuomo or Phil Murphy or Gretchen Whitmer. Oh, by the way, Gretchen Whitmer was on the short list, but she's been canceled because she's white. That would have been another boon to the Trump campaign, but she's out. Anyway, in Massachusetts, we've gone back to phase 2, which means, we're going to put more small businesses out of business. They're already estimating 4,000 restaurants are going to go under. A hotel in Gardner has been fined a couple times for having a group of people without proper social distancing, or maybe it was too many people, but they fined them. And then they added another $1,200 fine when the governor found out that there was a wedding and people were dancing.
Oh, geez.
They were dancing at the wedding, so they added $1,200 to the fine. I want to know, is somebody at this place like calling the rat line and saying, guess what? There was the bride and groom danced after they got the cake. I mean, I don't know who's more despicable, the governor who is just the worst and the worst tyrant, or the person who called that little rat line and said, I saw people break your rules, Governor.
Jerry, forget the rat line. What about the rat patrol?
We're announcing the creation of a COVID enforcement and intervention team.
There you go.
Oh, he doesn't give you the creeps. I don't know this. Maybe you know better than I would, but the rumor is people are getting a little paranoid about this. They're going to start tracking people with their Easy Pass to see if they quarantine for 14 days before leaving the state. I know that doesn't, if there was such a thing as, I don't know, like a American Civil Liberties Union, something like that.
Yeah.
If there was something like that, they would fight that. But that's coming soon, Tom. There's going to be some citizen, some taxpayer gets a bill in the mail for $1,000, a fine, because they tracked his Easy Pass and he did not quarantine for 14 days before leaving the state, or whatever. That'll be chilling. That'll be frightening.
I love that that they're going to dances like with a yardstick and making sure people are dancing 6 feet away from each other.
He's John Lithgow now, and measuring and making sure no dancing is allowed. That is. Can you imagine? Imagine you're supposed to have a wedding and you want to have a slow dance with your wife. With your wife.
Can you do the
person you live with now?
Can you do the cake thing with each other, or is
God no? God no.
You have to rub it on the face mask at this point. But it is it's going to be interesting because
smear the cake on the mask on the. Oh
yeah, no,
it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse because the Globe loves him and his approval ratings are high because people want gaddy government. They want Charlie to protect them.
Jerry, 3 months ago, 8,000 people died in Massachusetts. And that's what happened. And right now there's a few hundred more have died since then. But the event happened a few months ago. It's already over. So I don't know why, like the other team has won and left the field. I don't know why we're all still out here at covering bases. It's over. COVID came and killed everybody in both the fatal aspect of COVID.
The fatal phase, right. Now we know who's vulnerable. I mean, we didn't know at the time. I assume even Cuomo, who's evil, didn't know that he was going to kill. The estimates now are up to 11,000 seniors in New York were killed because of Cuomo's March 25th edict that they must put coronavirus patients in with the most vulnerable people, wiped out nursing homes. But even he knows that you can't do that anymore. Even everybody knows that you must protect the elderly and the obese. And so you're right. The wave of death is over, and most people who get it now will survive. Many of them won't even know they had it. So there's the only reason people don't want kids to go to school and they don't want football is because they want to continue the chaos and continue the hysteria. But I think more people are catching on. More people are reading up, and that's a good thing. But all right, Shattuck, we got to go now. That is Tom Shattuck, the host of the Burn Barrel podcast, media critic, Lowell Sun scribe. You had a good column this. Was that yesterday? Sunday.
Yeah, editorial. Yes, was on the Bruins and their Boston Globe accomplice.
Right. Who are the Boston Bruins? Who photoshopped the Bruins, the Boston Police logo off a player's T-shirt yesterday? A photo went viral of Bobby Orr signing autographs for cops.
Oh no!
And I don't think that's going to sit well with our guy Matt Chimura or the Boston Globe. I think maybe that's why they got rid of the Orr statue, because he was signing autographs for cops.
And yeah, they probably found out about it and just took it out. Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, that's good speculation right there.
I think Robert Gordon Orr's in trouble. He could be canceled next. But
I hope Bobby Orr's schedule's free so he can just go around the country to every single police department and make them feel better, because no one else is doing it.
Everybody who knows Orr loves him. He's a great guy. I just hope he did that on purpose, with intent. Said, I want to take care of these cops. I want to take some pictures. I want them to send it out and go viral. And I want to stick it in the face of Matt Chimura and Matt Porter and everyone else who wants the Bruins to distance themselves from the Boston police. Screw them. But you can check that out on what's your Twitter handle, Shattuck?
At Tom Shattuck, or you can go to at Lowell Sun as well.
and read that and listen to the Burn Barrel podcast. But thanks, Shattuck. Thanks to Shea Concrete and Allied Paving. Thanks to DCU and Flagship and Raycon. All right, Cullinan, how did it go today? How are we holding up?
I think we're okay today. I think we'll know when we download all the files. So I think we're okay. To all you people who are pissed off that we're not Facebook Living, that was added value. That was us giving to you. That was never a demand. We are audio first. We're podcast first. So shut your mouths. You'll get it back one day.
Oh, but by the way, I should have mentioned this. Another reason the Susan Rice rumor is out there and roaring hot right now is they just reported this. I think, I don't even know who reported it, but Kamala Harris just unfollowed Biden on Twitter. That is so 2020. I don't even know if it's true, but I just saw it on Fox News. They reported that Kamala Harris unfollowed Joe Biden. Of course, Biden would never even know that. I'm not sure the purpose of that. Maybe it was just in a rage. She was mad. She heard she wasn't the pick. But that's an interesting development. That's how we get news. That's how we put the pieces together in 2020. But all right. Thanks to Cullinan. Good job. I am Jerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Podcast, and we'll do it again tomorrow.